Greetings. My name is Maurice Simhoff with the Jackson County, Michigan Historical Society. Today I'm here at the Ella Sharp Museum with...
Hi there, my name is Hope Stropes. I'm the Associate Curator here at the Ella Sharp Museum.
And we are here taking a look at several items in the Ella Sharp Museum collection, items that you may not see otherwise. We have a very large collection downstairs, but people might not see all of them. So we wanted to take a glimpse at just some of the items and kind of learn their history.
Sure. Yeah, so something I do like to start off with too as well is that in most museums you are only usually seeing between 5 and 10% of what we have in our collection in our exhibits. So most of our objects are actually in storage, so we like to bring them up for people to see.
5% is quite a low number. So
right,
so much history still there,
right.
That it needs to be explored. So.
Exactly, and that's an industry standard. That's, you know, most museums, if you walk in, that's approximately what you're going to be seeing.
Wow. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look. Well, first over here we have a box. Pretty fancy. Looks kind of like a jewelry box, but I see some buildings on the side. Tell us a little more about this.
Yeah, so this is a box-style purse, and it was made specifically for a Jackson resident, the woman who actually donated it to us. Her name is Barbara Stanton. So on the bottom here, you can see that it was made specifically for her. Oh, wow. It says created for Barbara Stanton, 75, and then it has the artist's name on here as well, which is Glennis. And another way we can tell that this is specifically for Barbara is that it actually has her house on here as well. So it says the Stantons cool. on there. And then around it has specific places around Jackson. So
maybe some of her favorite places to visit.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, and you know, the question is, did she commission this artist to do this, or was it a gift? Did she know, you know, this artist? But we have like Paca Plaza, which is now the Jackson Crossing, LH Field Company, Westwood Mall, and then we have Adrian Rosenberg, so that must have been his residence, Jacobson's, and then the Stantons. So.
And you said that's a purse.
Yeah, so I'll open it up. Isn't it? Yeah, so we actually have a couple other handmade purses from another woman in Jackson, and she made similar, like the box style purses, and those were made in the 70s as well. Wow. So these like decorative purses, you know, could have been something that were getting popularity. But another thing too is the mirror inside. That's something that these other purses have as well. So that's kind of a staple there with the fabric on the inside.
Yeah, the work on here is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, she did a wonderful job. Or they did a wonderful job, Glennis. So, and another cool thing about this, so this is decoupage. So basically it's a wood base, and then all of this is paper cutouts. So they decorate it with these paper cutouts, and then they seal it with some sort of sealant, whether it's lacquer or varnish or whatever, and they do several coats. Okay. So when you touch it, you can't tell, you know, it's sturdy. Yeah. So you can see like some of the cracks from age, from like, you know, whatever they use. Yeah, you know, lacquer, varnish, it cracks and things like that. So.
Oh, that is a beautiful piece right there.
It's a very cool piece, yeah.
I wouldn't have known all of the rich history that goes into just this one item itself, let alone that it was a purse.
Right, yeah, with the brass handle. It does look like a jewelry box.
Certainly.
So, yeah.
Well, all right, let's move down the line here. And we have, it looks like some sort of block, maybe a bird feeder, coffee grinder, like what are we looking at here?
So this is kind of like our, what is this item? You know, when you look right at it and you don't really know what it is, it looks like a wood block. So this is from the Sparks Withington Company from around the 1940s, and it's a wood pattern. So during those years, when you would make something out of steel or some other product, you would make a pattern like this first. Okay. And this was used as like a template to make
your guide.
Yes, as a guide. Yes, exactly. So we don't know exactly what this would have been used to make, like what parts, but it would have been some sort of industrial part. Not an entire thing itself, but like the parts that it goes into. So up close you can see maybe, it says Sparks Withington on here, and it has a patent number, which is like the part. So it's a pretty unique piece.
It has some detail on it. I mean, this looks like something I would find maybe in the bottom of my garage and go,
right.
oh, it's just some wood, throw it away. Yeah. But it has, I mean, it has a story. The Sparks Withington, right. We know, two predominant people, you know, forming a company here in Jackson that right. which stood the test of time, becoming the Spartan Corporation, I believe, right?
Yes.
So very, very neat.
Yeah, and I know like a lot of people are, know them for like Spartan radios and things like that, which they started making later. But for the 1940s, it's possible that this could have been something that they made for like wartime. Yeah. You know, everyone was switching to making things for the defense industry. So we don't know for sure what it was used for, but in the 1940s, it could have been, you know, something for wartime. Right. They also made agricultural implements, things for automobiles, things like that. So, you know, there are lots of possibilities.
Yeah. I think that's a great example of every object in the collection has a story.
Right.
You know, this isn't just a piece of wood.
Right.
It has a story behind it. So.
And that's something that we quote a lot is we are looking for stories, not stuff. You know, we're not, we want the stories. So when people come, I handle object donations. I want to know. I tell them anything you know. Right. It doesn't matter how much. Give it. Yeah. I want all the information. I want all the stories you have.
Which can help someone years from now. I mean, just looking at the object itself, looking at the details of the wording, that helps us today be able to identify the object, you know, what it possibly was a little bit, so people can learn a lot longer. And even who donated it can really tell a story too.
Exactly.
Years later.
Yeah.
All right, let's go down a little farther.
Sure.
We have. It looks like a cutting block.
Yeah, so this one's interesting. This is a cutting board. We got this in 2017. It's from the Vocational Village at Parnell. The
correctional facility.
The correctional facility, thank you. So they actually opened Vocational Village in Parnell in 2017.
So recent.
It's very recent, yeah. Okay. That was their second of 3. They have 3, the Vocational Village has 3 locations. And what that is it's a program where inmates enter the program and they learn trade skills. So they all live together in this specific part of, Vocational Village. They eat together, they learn together. And this was made in the carpentry division.
Oh, so something recent history that was made here in the Jackson prison. If we know Jackson prison history, they built a lot of things at the prison. I mean, even dating back to its early days over on Cooper Road, or I think they're both on Cooper.
The Cooper,
the first one, the big brick one. But they built a lot of things there. So even today, they're still building items at the prisons. That was something I didn't know coming in here today, that they did that still. So once again, an item that we don't really know what it is. Well, we know what it is, but the story behind it. And it's Jackson made. It's something that was made right here in Jackson. I think this is also a neat point to point out here that you're collecting an item from 2017.
Yes.
You know, we talked about the history of just these items so far. We know a lot of the items in the collection date far back than 2017. So I think it's a great point to talk about how this is going to be really important in history years later.
Right. And I thought this was important because it's a common misconception that, people will be like, I don't know if it's old enough for you to take. That's not really a criteria for us because in, 50, 60 years, but, now we're just preserving it early.
Absolutely. It tells a story for tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it tells a very cool story and something we can connect. We have a lot of stuff from, back in the 40s, the 50s, that Michigan State Prison. Now this is from Parnell, another Jackson prison. And it's, a different type of program. It's a new program. Yeah. So it still tells a story.
Absolutely. All right, well, now we're over here looking at some clothing. Very nice clothing, I should say. I would wear this. So what is the story behind this suit here?
Yeah, so this is actually a wedding suit. This was worn by a local man, and it's from Milton's in downtown Jackson, which was a men's store down there. So something interesting about this is it's a wedding suit from 1947. So the interesting thing is nowadays you see, tuxedos, wedding suits. They're a plain color. A lot of times there's no design. Sure. So you can see here they have the pinstripes. So these were super popular in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. They kind of started in Prohibition, and then, well-known names started wearing them, and it just grew in popularity. So the pinstripes were popular for wedding suits especially, for fancier occasions, things like that.
You don't see many people wearing pinstripe suits at all today, but let alone weddings.
Right.
That's a very interesting point there to look at with this. And you said this was made in Jackson. This is a piece of clothing from
Milton's. From Milton's, yeah. Yeah, which was down in downtown Jackson, which we know in the 50s and 60s was a huge hub for, you know, your high-end shopping. It had LH Field and Jacobson's and Furman's. And
thriving.
It was, it was thriving. I hear it was the place to be.
Absolutely.
So.
I mean, and no, also clothing was made too. I mean, talking about Jackson Industry, all of the different things that were made in Jackson.
Right.
And I think clothing too in the 50s, we're talking late 40s, but very, very neat.
Right, yeah.
All right, and then now over here we have a dress. Looks like a day dress, a wedding dress. What is the history behind this dress?
So this is actually a going away dress is what they called it. So it looks like a wedding dress, and essentially what it is a woman after her wedding or after her reception, if she had one, she would change into this, and then they would have their farewell. So, you know, like what you see in the movies where they are off and they drive off in their car with all, like, you know, the decorations.
Yeah, kind of like Shrek when they go off.
So it's essentially something that would be a little bit more simple that she can easily travel in. Doesn't have a long train, a lot of embellishments and things like that.
It's like your wedding dress, basically, but more simplified so you can travel.
Right. So, and this one's unique. So this is from the late 50s. And the woman who wore it, her name was Helen, she actually made it. Wow. So this is called brocade, and it's a fabric that's woven and has kind of like a raise in it.
The detail here, once you really look into it, is very nice.
So it's like a floral brocade, and it has like the angled sleeves. So this is unique because a lot of times with going away dresses, they would be, you know, like a midi length, they're shorter, or like a suit dress you may see, and they're a little bit more, not necessarily casual, but not as like, you know, elegant and ball gowny. But this one is, you know, you can tell it's a wedding dress,
very elegant.
Or, you know, a wedding dress, but it's, you know, it's simple. It doesn't have all the embellishments to where you, like, you know, couldn't easily sit in a car.
But it has it looks like a floral design to it.
Yeah. And it has, you know, the ruching in the sides.
You said Helen made this?
Yes.
By hand?
Yes, she made this. And then her granddaughter is the one that donated it to us. She made her wedding dress as well by hand. So.
Well, I think what's interesting about both of these pieces that we've talked about briefly is that they're two just regular Jackson citizens. They're not very predominant people here in the community, but in the collection that we're talking about today, you collect items, just regular people here in Jackson, kind of telling that story of something that they did on their own, like this, for example.
Right. And I mean, it's the case, you know, for exhibits as well. We have our Jackson History Gallery up right now where we have, you know, our fashion section. And most of those things are from, you know, everyday Jackson or Jackson County citizens that come in. And these are things that they used, things that they wore.
Regular life.
Yeah, just regular life things. That's, you know, kind of our purpose and our goal is to preserve those things.
Which I think is the appropriate way to really tell the Jackson story, the regular person. We can, of course, talk about the triumphs of some of our local citizens, but what was the everyday life like for regular Jackson citizens? And we're talking through the decades here in the collection. So, well, very neat. Well, thank you for joining us and for having us here at the collection. We hope to be able to maybe come back and pull out some more items and talk about that with the public. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll hope to see you guys for another. Thank you all for joining us for today's video highlighting several items here at the Ella Sharp Museum's collection. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about the Jackson County, Michigan Historical Society, visit us at myjacksonhistorical.org, and we hope to see you at a future event. Thank you.